Hello everyone, my name is Otavio and this is the Galilean Library, and today I'm here with my first on my shelf tag. I'm not sure if that's a tag. I think it's just like one of those, videos, I guess. Anyway, I have a few coordinates on my shelves that I asked last week on Twitter for a few people to give me, and I've got some really great ones. So yes, let's get started. So the first coordinates are shelf number 3, book number 17, and that is After Party by Dara Gregory. And I got this book because I've read another Dara Gregory book earlier this year, which was We Are All Completely Fine, and that one was nominated for a Nebula Award for Best Novella. And I really enjoyed it, so I've decided to pick something up by Gregory. And this one, I am not entirely sure about the plot. I think it has something to do with a drug that causes hallucinations, and it's supposed to be a mix of science fiction and mystery, but I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me on that. And there's a lot of praise for this on the back as well by Paolo Bacigalupi and Kim Stanley Robinson. So yes, really excited for this one. Eventually I'll pick it up. The next coordinates are shelf number 4, book number 24, House Made of Dawn by M. Scott Momaday. So this is a Pulitzer Prize winning book, and it's about the clash between Native American society and the industrial American society. And basically the main character is right at the center of this and is suffering because of this clash of cultures. And I'm really interested in picking this up sometime soon as well. It doesn't have great reviews on Goodreads, even though critics seem to really love it. Of course, it won the Pulitzer, so, And yes, but I'm really interested to see what it's all about and why certain people think it's not the best. I do believe, though, that this is like one of those gateway books in which Native American literature became more prominent. It's just one of those books that bring a whole other class of books to a more popular position, which is really great. The next coordinates are shelf number 2, book number 2, and that is The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. And yes, a beastie book, super huge, and as much of a classic as a classic can get. And yes, this book frightens me so much. I don't know when I'll be picking this up, but it's just like one of those things that kind of scare me, because of this reputation around it. And yes, we'll see. One day I will pick it up, and I will try my best to stay focused because it is big and it's supposed to be also very, how do you put it? Very, I don't know. It's supposed to be a hard book. It's supposed to be a very hard book to get to or to get through. And yes, I will maybe one day find out if I have what it takes to read this. The next coordinates are shelf number 1, book number 9. And shelf number 1 is my nonfiction shelf on the top up here. And the book number 9 happens to be probably the most boring book that I have in my entire shelf, which is the MLA Handbook by no one in particular. And basically, I had to read this for university in my last year on my master's degree because I was writing a thesis. And I have written a thesis before for my undergrad, but the rules for formatting and citations and just about everything, like technical about the paper, are different in the US than they are in Brazil, because Brazil follows the European standard. And because of that, I had to learn it all again and read the American version of those rules. And yes, this is a very, very, very boring book, so I would not recommend to read this unless you are actually writing a paper. And even if you are, just, you can just Google the things you need to know. Yeah. The next coordinates are shelf number 5, book number 21, and that is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And I have not read this as well. And I don't know much about it. I know it's magical realism, and Marquez is supposed to be this amazing author in terms of magical realism. Yes, I I don't know when I will pick this up. This is actually a copy that I've gotten because of a friend. He moved out of the city and he couldn't carry all his books, so I am basically fostering them until he is able to pick them up. So this isn't actually mine, though it might be if he never picks them up. But yes, I don't know if this is my kind of book, but one day maybe I will try to pick it up. Next one is shelf number 4, book number 9, and that is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. And funny thing, I think this is one of the first books that I've ever talked about in my channel. I got this a long time ago. Well, not that long ago, maybe a year ago. And I've talked about it in my first booktube video, and I still have not read it. And I don't know when I will, because I have so many unfinished series, and I definitely should not and do not want to start this whole huge series while I have so many others to finish. Yes, but I am interested in it. One day maybe I will start it. It is a commitment because there are 14 books of like too many pages. Yes, that's how long they are. Too many pages. The next coordinates are shelf number 7, book number 17, and that is Acceptance by Jeff Vandermeer, the last book in the Southern Reach trilogy. I have talked about this before, and yes, I have not finished the series, and I haven't even finished the second one. I kind of dropped it after a while, but I will pick it up again one day when I'm really into it or really interested. Don't know when that will be, but yes, one day I'll finish this. The next coordinates are shelf number 2, book number 7, and that is The Warded Man by Peter V. Brett. And I have talked about this also before, and I reviewed it in one of my wrap-ups, and I enjoyed it but didn't love it because there are just so many tropes of fantasy in here that I kind of found a little bit repetitive, and yes, didn't love it. I don't know yet if I will continue with the series, but maybe one day I'll pick it up. Our shelf number 6, book number 12, and that is The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. I don't know if I am pronouncing his name correctly. Probably not. Please correct me if you know how to say it. I have not read this yet, but I did pick it up a while ago for the Around the World challenge over at the BookTube Reading Buddies. I ended up not reading it, but it's basically a collection of short stories in the Witcher world. The Witcher is this book series in Poland that eventually became this video game series that is super famous here in the US, and I really enjoyed those video games as well. But I do want to read the books because the video games take place several years after the series has ended. So yes, seems like a very interesting story to pick up, and one day I will. I don't really love collection of short stories that are supposed to talk about the same universe as much. I would rather have one cohesive story, but it's just this one book in this series, I think, that is like that. I'm not entirely sure. But yes, I am interested in it for the future, indefinite future. Yeah. Now, the last coordinates are actually special requests from Paul over at Come and Touch of Fantasy, and he asked me what is the last book on my last shelf, and that is A Clash of Kings by George R. R. Martin. And it's not because I hate it. It's not the reason why. It's like right near the floor almost. But I do have another copy of this. It's a hardback copy, and I love this copy. But I do have this other one, which is the TV show tie-in mass market paperback. And I only have this version because I got it as a present. I don't remember when. It was a long time ago. And I was just reading it because I find this much nicer to break the spine. And I don't know, this book is just one of those that you want to break the spine when you're reading. For some reason, this is just in my head, I guess. But yes, I did pick it up not too long ago, and I read a little bit of it. But I just stopped because I wanted to read other things before, though I will read this sometime soon. I have already read it, but it was a long time ago and I stopped reading the series at the time, and this and the first book are the only ones that I have read so far, and I just want to catch up and read all the other books that are out before I finish watching the TV shows. So, yes. Last book on my shelf. So that was it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as you can tell, probably I'm still trying to figure out this new filming location and the camera. That's kind of giving me a run for my money. I don't really know how to do the manual focus thing, but I am really working on it. But anyway, I will figure it out eventually, and yeah, that's it. So I'll see you guys next time. Ciao!